clone. And then we're also going to go live in Real Closers.
All right.
And of course, it's not letting me do that today, even though I'm on the admin in the group. Let me do a quick refresh. If not, we'll post this recording. It's okay.
Sounds good. Let me just pull out of this driveway real quick.
All right.
Yeah, I apologize for jumping on late here. I was at a showing. I got a little confused between Pacific time and Central time. I thought I was on at 10 a.m. this morning, but it's 2 o'clock.
That's probably why some of the messages I got from you were like, all right, I'll see you in a bit. I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, they were. It's so I'm out here in the suburbs of Chicago. I'm actually in Wisconsin right now. I'm licensed in Illinois and Wisconsin, and there we go.
All right, cool. I think we are live in Real Closers. All right, guys, welcome again to our Thursday training. And today we do have a very special guest. And I say very special because we actually had an interview with Joe in the group back in 2022 at the very beginning. And he was going over the process that he's followed in order to get him 44 deals closed in 2023. That's almost $12 million in volume and
Over 12.
only huh?
Over 12.
Over $12 million in volume. And the results he's gotten has been through only spending, and this is the magic number, $3,200 in marketing spend. Right. A lot of agents are wondering, hey, where do I put my money into marketing right now to get deals, to be able to close 10 transactions by the end of the year? Joe is actually going to show us, and I don't know if you want me to show the presentation to Joe, but he's going to walk us through what he does in order to get these results. And Joe, before I do that, do you want to kind of introduce yourself, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, what has been the journey for the last, 3 years since we last talked, and what are we doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for having me on. My name is Joe Prindle with HomeSmart Connect Realty out here in beautiful northern Illinois. I'm licensed in Illinois and Wisconsin. I do about a quarter of my business in Wisconsin, the rest in Illinois. Yeah, I was the number one top producing agent in my office last year out of over 700 agents. And I did it all without spending much money on marketing. I've never purchased a lead since I started in real estate. I'm going on year number 8 now, and I just do the things I love with the people I love, and they wanna send me business when it's time to buy or sell a home.
Nice, nice. And I mean, I've seen you post, and sometimes, the stuff you post is super funny, and I see a lot of interaction. And honestly, Joe, it's been a pleasure to kind of see what you've been doing over the last couple of years. And also, I'm happy that you opted to join us today as well. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Roberto. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, so if you do want to pull up one of the slides there, I could kind of break down where all my leads came from last year, or all my closed leads came from last year, and we can go over it, and I can explain exactly where I spend my money for the best return.
Absolutely. And guys, your guys are welcome to post questions here, either live on the group or here. Let me share my screen really quick. And I just noticed that what you sent was a PowerPoint, Office
Oh, was
PowerPoint.
it? Okay.
So, but we got it.
There we are. All right, so that's me. It's really true. People don't know or care how much you know until they know how much you care. So I'm one complete person, right? So you mentioned about my Facebook and social media posts. Um, this is how I do it, right? I'm one person, right? I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a community organizer, Special Olympics coach. Um, those are so that's my family over there with Santa. That's actually my assistant Victor. He's playing Santa. Don't tell any of the kids. That's my Special Olympics basketball team, the Northern Lights Polar Bears. We actually won our silver medal at the regional competitions last weekend. And those are my dogs, Oreo and Gage. They're very good dogs. But if you want to skip ahead until the pie graph, all right. Okay, so these are my closed deals, right? So I on a budget of $3,400, I don't set a budget on what I'm going to spend every year. Okay, I spend whatever I have to spend. So that's a little bit different. But I know that if I'm just doing my active sales activities of going out there, seeing more people, and hosting my 3 events a month, I'm going to have success, right? And I'm staying top of mind. So to break it down real quick, 37% of my deals last year just came from my sphere of influence. Those are people that I'm keeping in contact with via Facebook, right? And you've seen some of my level of engagement. Um, I have 3 rules for social media, right? Keep it positive, always positive, right? Make it about somebody else, right? Never about yourself. And the third thing is be engaging, right? So ask a question, ask for a recommendation, or make some type of outrageous statement, right? Like I get a lot of traction on my top 3 lists. We just did a top 3 list on top 3 favorite places to get shrimp, right? Uh, I know it sounds kind of stupid, but I ended up booking 12 face-to-face appointments off that for coffee. And then I ended up generating 3 leads, one of which we're under contract right now for this year. So it's about being engaging, it's about being friendly, and it's about taking care of the people that take care of you, right? It's about being one total person. What I'm saying about make it about other people is that when was the last time you looked at your accountant's Facebook page, right? And you see them holding up a copy of someone's tax return saying, hey, I got another tax return done, right? You've never seen that, right? It's crazy. Realtors are the only people that do that. So I just quit doing it, right? I looked at the amount of likes, the amount of shares, the amount of comments, the amount of interaction I had. And talking about real estate has the lowest percentage of interactions. People already know I'm a realtor. There's no reason for me to beat people over the head with it. Just host your events, post your engaging comments, and then pick up the phone and call more people, right? And they're naturally going to want to help you out. Nothing I say or do is going to make someone want to buy or home, right? So all I can do is just be available to capture those opportunities when people are ready to buy and sell a home, right? And the way I do that is through, again, my sphere of influence. These are people that I'm keeping contact, the majority of which on Facebook, right? If you look at past client hobby, right, that's the next biggest portion at 16%. Every single Wednesday night, I play an interactive card game called Magic the Gathering. I've been playing since 1994, right? I'm a big nerd and I own it, right? But I go to my local game store every single Wednesday. I'm there for 2 to 3 hours and I'm playing a card game with my friends and then also new people that walk in. And that's how I grow my sphere organically. So my hobby ended up paying me last year almost $70,000, right? Wouldn't we all like a hobby that paid us $70,000, right? Well, you can like just figure out what you love to do, and you're going to be able to go and make money with it. Um, and again, it goes back to do the things you love with the people you love. Don't do things that you don't love. It's going to come across as false and salesy, right? Like I could probably make an additional $70,000 next year if I played golf. Well, you can pay me $1 million a year. I'm not playing golf, right? I don't enjoy it. It's not something I want to do, right? So I'm not going to do it. But if you look at my total hobby, it's 21% of my business comes from my hobby, right? Agent referrals in my office, that is 10% of my business comes from other agents. And what I do is HomeSmart Connect is a larger real estate brokerage, right? We have 8 satellite locations. So I go to every single happy hour that my company sponsors, regardless of where it's at, right? There's some offices that are like 2 hours away from me, right? But I go to their happy hour because it's going to build those relationships and it's going to generate those leads for me because they don't want to, drive 2 hours to show a home, or they don't want to list a home 2 hours away, or they're not licensed in Wisconsin, right? So those are opportunities to. It's free money. Like I'm already a part of this brokerage. why not, leverage those relationships? Um, and then what I'm really proud of is my attorney referrals, right? So my attorney Mark sent me 4 deals, and my lender Charles sent me 3 deals that closed. Um, and those really put me over the top for the year, because I know a lot of you around September last year things really died, right, with the interest rate hike. I kept on rolling because I had good referrals from my attorney and my lender. My attorney has a big book of business for estate planning, right? So I ended up, all 4 deals he sent me were folks who unfortunately passed away, right? So I was selling their homes in the estate. So in my pipeline this year, uh, another good year for him, another bad year for families. I've got 9 more listings coming up from estate sales, right? So like I've been really looking where tracking my leads, right? Where are my sales coming from right now? And all my listings are coming from either death, divorce, or relocation, right? Those are the only people really listing right now. And then my buyers, I'm looking at it, and it's almost the same thing, right? It's relocation buyers, helping 2 military families who are moving into the area currently. Um, Divorce buyers, unfortunately, right? I have 2 friends who are well, a couple that are getting divorced. So I'm going to be listing their home and then helping each one of them buy a separate home. And then finally is first time home buyers, right? Um, First time home buyers do not care what interest rates are really, because they're renting, right? Interest on renting is 100%. So you need to get out there and really be working your sphere and listening to people and understanding what they're looking for, right? Like right now, I'm not spending a ton of time marketing and inviting people to my events who are not going to be first time home buyers or are not, relocation buyers. So I'm really focused on the first time home buyers right now as far as inviting them to events. Um, and I'm seeing that in my pipeline of where the buyers are coming from right now, right? So those are all really important uh, aspects to follow and to follow up on. I know I've been mentioning events. I host 3 events every single month. I host a family friendly event, right? That is, I invite people, families in my sphere of influence, out to do fun things with my family, right? Because I have 2 young kids at home. There's a children's museum that had a satellite, uh, what do you call it? Like a pop-in, right? At our, um, at our, it's called the Round Lake Beach Civic Center, right? It's like kind of like a meeting place for our town, and it was absolutely free, right? So I spent no money on it. I had 7 families show up, so we all had a great afternoon, and I was able to have great conversations with 7 families, and didn't cost me a dime, right? This Saturday is my next family focused event. I rented out a room at the my local library. It cost me $0 because I have a library card. I spent $25 on some decorations and some teapots. I'm having a daddy daughter tea party, right? So again, I'm doing things that I would love to do anyways with the people I want to see, right? So I'm calling up different segments of my sphere. So the same people I invited out last week are not the same people I invited out this week, because I don't want to be talking to the same people. But again, it's like that event's going to cost me $25, right? Out of calling people to invite them to those events, I was able to contact 60 people in my sphere. I have 12 dads coming with their daughters on Saturday. And out of the ones that couldn't make it, I set up an additional 4 one-on-one coffee appointments, right? And that's really getting face to face with people is really what's going to jump my business up. So I knew I just threw a lot out there at you. Do you have any questions, or uh, does anyone else have any questions that we could go over and talk all about it?
Yeah, guys, feel free to drop those questions here if you're watching it, if you're part of the Zoom. If you're watching live, go ahead. Let me check the group. So I think one of the things that I got was relationship building, right? Like you're more, and I mean being busy, right? You have kids, you have family, you have and you're using that as a way to stay involved with the people that you talk to all the time.
Yep.
What has been the challenge though? Like when you do, because you mentioned 3 events every single month.
Yep.
You also mentioned coffee, right? And a lot of your
Yep.
marketing budget, you're not spending money on ads. You're not running any Facebook, any Google, any of that stuff. You're putting all that money into events. So when you
Correct.
do book appointments on like one-on-ones with people over coffee, like what is it that you talk about?
So I use the Ford acronym. And again, I did not invent anything I'm telling you today. I take no credit for. I didn't invent any of this, right? It just, my first year in real estate, I was really struggling. So I just went and asked more successful real estate agents than I am what they did. I totally let go of my ego and I just started doing what they did. And I kind of cobbled together this system, right? So everyone knows the acronym FORD, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dream. That is the basis for every conversation I have with everybody. Between those four categories, there's not one person on earth you can't talk to. So, oftentimes I'll start, especially if it's a friend of mine who has kids, I'll start the conversation off with, how is your family doing, right? And they're naturally going to ask me, well, how is your family doing, right? They're going to want to be reciprocal. That's how our conversation works, right? And then from there, you can, find a way to talk about work, right? And then they're naturally going to want to ask you about real estate. That's my opportunity to talk about real estate. I never bring it up unless they bring it up. But that's what we talk about in our coffee conversations. Last year, out of the $3,400 I spent on marketing, $1,800 of that was on coffee. So yeah, and I'm not talking about me, right? Because it was probably double that because I bought coffee for myself too. But like actual like tax deductible, I spent this money on marketing for coffee, $1,800 on buying coffee for my friends.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know we talk a lot about too about social media, and one of the things that you mentioned, right? A lot of agents out there are posting stuff about their business. Just
Right,
sold, just got this under contract. And
right,
honestly, we feel that that should be a very small part of your overall strategy. And Joe is proof of that.
yep,
To close 44, 45 deals in 1 year through the stuff he's doing is really good. And again, it shows that if you're consistent with your social media, it pays off. I would invite you guys to friend Joe on Facebook so you guys can get an idea of what type of things he posts that is getting that engagement. Because at the end of the day, the goal of social media is for people to know who you are because they're going to end up working
right,
with you at the end of the day, right? Um,
correct.
so posting stuff about your personal stuff, posting about your, and when I do the same thing, like I'll post about business related stuff, almost no engagement, but I put it out there because I want to remind people, hey, I'm still doing this stuff. But I post pictures of my kids, I post pictures of my wife going to something, right? Yesterday I posted a silly video of me taking the kids to school. That gets more engagement, and I'm hoping that by them going into those things, they end up seeing everything else that I'm posting. And of course, my banner on Facebook, it's a huge banner as to what we do for the business, right? So, Joe, where do you get ideas to start posting? Because some of the stuff, I mean, it cracks me up. Some of the stuff you're posting there. Uh, where do you get all these content ideas from?
Yeah, so well, I'm glad you brought that up. So, all of it's intentional, right? So I sit down on Sunday night and I'll write down just like I'll keep notes during the week of things that like I think of or I see, and I'll write down posts for the week, right? Or ideas for posts for the week, and that's about 70% of my posts, and then the other 30% are uh just things that hit me right there, like oh this happened, I want to talk about this, right? Um, and again, it's like, I, just be a real person, right? People want to work with real people, right? They don't want to feel like they're being sold anything. So just be genuine and be available for when they want to, when they want to talk and hang out. I do a lot of top three lists because I'm very opinionated on, things like food, music, movies, television. It doesn't even matter. Like be as ridiculous as you want to be, as long as again you're keeping it positive, you're keeping it fun, you're keeping it engaging. Do whatever you want. Like Um, let's see. One of my, like I just posted yesterday. I was scrolling through my pictures, because I was looking for a specific picture, and I saw a picture of myself that I took over the summer. I went on a kayak trip, and I got attacked by a raccoon. Um, so I don't know. I posted a picture of the aftermath, like my arm was all scratched up, and I just said some ridiculous stuff like, I think just like Peter Parker getting bit by the spider, I got bit by a raccoon, and I think I'm turning into a raccoon. And it just made fun of myself, and people really get on board with the self-deprecating humor, and like people really jumping on board. But the important thing is I'm getting that engagement, right? And then from that engagement, I go in private message everybody who either likes or comments on it, and I ask them, well, what's your I shared my embarrassing story. Why don't you tell me something, you know, embarrassing about you? And like, it just creates that deeper connection, with people that already know, like, and trust you, and people you already love, right? So like, just create that deeper relationship, and you're always going to find success. I also find that um, my other most successful posts are when I'm highlighting the good works of other people, right? So, especially like with Special Olympics, I love it. I love being a coach. Besides being a dad and a husband, being a coach is like the most rewarding thing in my life. I love it more than pretty much anything else, right? So anytime I have a photo of my team doing well, like I'll tag, the parents of my team, and I'll tag, my coaches, my assistant coaches, who I absolutely love, who I couldn't do this without, right? Like none of us could do this without them. So I'm constantly talking about how thankful I am for these ladies, because I really am. Um, but by tagging those people, you're having a wider reach, right? Because now people who don't know you are seeing your post, they're liking it, they're commenting on it, and then I can contact those people, friend them. Now I've grown my sphere organically, right? And that's really how you have to do it. You just got to look for opportunities to grow it organically, right? Um, I mentor a lot of new agents, and like their biggest complaint is, they're afraid to pick up the phone, right? And the way to get over the fear of picking up the phone is find ways to make that phone weigh less, right? So what I do to make the phone weigh less is I have my 3 events, right? And then I'm calling up the people that I love who would want to hear from me to give them good news, right? Like, hey, I'm having this daddy daughter tea party. I would love for you guys to come out. I'm never calling anyone asking for anything, right? If they see my phone number come up, I want them to be happy to pick it up, right? How many times have you guys got phone calls and you see the name and you're like, I don't want to answer this, right? I never want to be that person that when they see my name, they're like, oh, Joe's asking for something, or he's going to complain about something, or he's going to be long winded. I don't want to talk to him, right? I never want that to happen to me. So I make sure that if I'm contacting someone, it's always with good news, right? Sometimes with my clients, it's not always that way, but they realize that I have their best interests at heart. Um, but that's how I build all my business without spending any money, and or very little money, and I'm having a great time. Like every day I wake up is the new best day of my life, because I get the opportunity to go make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, and help my community. It's like it's everything I've ever wanted to do. I've never had that freedom before I got into real estate. And that is my number one thing I love telling people is, when they're thinking about getting in this business, is that it's the hardest and most rewarding, fun job you're ever going to have, right? It's not going to be fun though if you're not picking up the phone, and if you're not disciplined to get up every day and work, right? Because I spend about 4 to 5 hours a day trolling social media, contacting people. I do it Monday through Friday. It's a job, right? And like you have to treat it like a job. So I set my schedule. I keep it 90% of the time, right? No, nothing's ever going to be 100%. So I keep to it 90% of the time. So I don't schedule meetings like during my prospecting time, right? Between 8 a.m. and noon, that's my prospecting time. And I treat it sacred, right? I keep it sacred. And that's really the way, that I keep consistent, and consistency is really the secret to, um, you know, consistency and executing a good plan are the real keys to being successful, in my opinion. So,
No, and I think again, based on what you're saying, you're proof that this stuff works. I think you've touched on every single thing that we talk about all the time when it comes to staying top of mind with people online, right? You mentioned making that phone less heavy, right? How do you do that? How
yeah,
do you find excuses to pick up the phone and call? Well, you found your way, pushing 3 events and
yep,
interacting with people makes it so much easier. And we've talked about this events, 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 events. We've talked about this all the time, like pushing events
yep,
on with your sphere. It's a great excuse. You end up calling 100 people, maybe 10 show up, right?
yep,
You end up paying for 10 people, but it was a good excuse to contact another 90 that may have not shown up to your event, but now you can call them again and
yep,
again and again and again without them fearing, hey, it's Joe again, right? Uh,
yep.
Joe, one of the questions that popped, I know you probably have to leave and let me know when you have to. One of the questions that pop up all the time is when it comes to, either someone who is new in the business or someone who's been doing it for a bit,
Hmm.
and they're trying to figure out if should I use my personal account to grow my business or should I create a new account? I know what your take is on it, but sometimes hearing it from someone else, it's much better, much easier, right? Someone who's actually making it
Hmm.
work. What's your take on that, and how would you react or answer that question?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Well, think about it as a consumer, right? When was the last time you liked someone's business page when they're a friend of yours, right? You're not doing it. Or if you are, you're not interacting with that page, right? How many times have you seen um, a realtor or somebody else who has a business be like, "Hey, like my page. The first 20 people who like my page are gonna get entered into a raffle for X, Y, or Z, right? A $20 gift card, right? If you have to bribe someone to go to your page, they're never gonna go, right? We got to do this organically. Don't be afraid to let people into your life and see who you are, right? Like if you don't want to post pictures of your kids, don't, right? Don't do anything you don't want to do. I have zero worry about that, right? Like no one's coming to murder me, no one's coming after me, like no one cares about. Honestly, like no one cares about me, right? The only people that care about me are my like immediate family and friends, right? Otherwise, people are not thinking of me, and that's why I'm on social media, so they do think of me. But no one, it's just go out there and just be yourself, right? Don't allow that fear to stop you from getting out there, right? um Too many of my friends are paralyzed by perfection, right? And don't let great get in the way of good right now, right? Are all of my events perfectly planned? They are not, right? Are some of them messy and ugly? Yeah, some are. 90% aren't, but sometimes, yeah, things have hiccups, right? I'm not charging anybody anything. It's free, right? It's something that I'm inviting them out to. They're going to be understanding if it's not perfect, right? The fact that you're out there having it and people are showing up, it's totally fine, right? Could I go out and spend $400 on like a photo booth and like you know uh cloth tablecloths instead of plastic tablecloths, and decorations for my party on Saturday, right? The daddy daughter tea party. Yeah, I could absolutely do it and make it look like $1 million, but why? Right? Good enough is good enough, right? Just so people see that I put in some effort. And if I didn't do this, it wouldn't exist to begin with, right? So just do it because it'll exist, and then people will be grateful. They'll be happy that they were able to come out, and you're creating those relationships. So don't worry about it being perfect. Just put it on the books, and then start making those phone calls. Um, I've had events that 2 people have showed up. I called 100 people, 2 people show up. That's a perfect event. I don't care, right? Because it was what you were saying. I had great conversations with the 2 people who showed up, and everybody else who didn't show up, I had a great conversation on the phone with them. And out of that, I probably set up, 10 coffee appointments, right? So it's like I don't worry so much about the results of people showing up to your event. The purpose of the event was to generate the opportunity to talk to more people, right? So that's really the goal, right? You got to think about that. That's more the goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look at the end result. Perfect never gets done. It's a saying that goes around, and I have to remind myself of that every single time. And that's something that we talk to our team all the time. It's like sometimes let's just get it done. Let's see those results and optimize after that, right? It's just the way the world works. And honestly, for something that we feel that it's not perfect, to the person who's actually uh receiving right on the receiving end of that event, they're like, wow, this was great, and it's like, okay, cool, let's do it again. We do have a comment. Great information, Peggy, thank you so much. I know you
Thanks,
kind of
Peg.
have to cut it short today. If anybody has questions, drop them now. Otherwise we're probably going to let Joe go.
Yep.
Again, Joe, super appreciative of you showing up today. We probably should do this again. We have another training next week. um, the team put it together. We'll send an email, and we have something nice for you guys too. On Mondays, we're putting together a newsletter with a ton of free content for you guys to blast on your social media, memes, posts. But at the end of the day, make it personal, right?
Yep.
If you learn anything from today, make it personal, make it about yourself, make it you, because at the end of the day, people want to work with you, not with an image that you show, and then at the end of the day you end up going to a listing appointment or buyer's consultation. Is like, hey, who's this person? you know
Right.
so Joe, any last words before we go?
Yeah, no, well, I just wanted to say again, thank you, Roberto, for having me on today. I apologize for being late. I was out there showing these homes. But yeah, make it about make it personal, make it about other people, right? Like make other people feel special, right? Make it about them, make it personal, and don't let perfect get in the way of good right now, right? Just get out there and go do good. You're gonna do great. I know you are. You're all gonna go out there and crush it.
Awesome, Joe, thank you so much. And guys, if you're watching this on the replay, drop comments, we'll get back into them, and we'll come back again and answer those questions with Joe too. Thank you, Joe, man. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good. You too, buddy. Have a great one.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Bye. Thank you.